It was late, the rain pouring down in relentless sheets, when a young black man slowed his pickup truck to help a woman stranded by the side of the road. She shivered, unsure whether to accept. "I don't usually trust strangers," she said softly. But that night, everything changed. The city of Seattle had been swallowed by a storm. Umbrellas flipped inside out, buses ran late, and sidewalks gleamed under the orange glow of streetlights. Madison, dressed in a tailored suit, clutched her briefcase as she tried flagging a cab. Her phone battery blinked red before dying, leaving her stranded in the rain. Cars sped past, splashing water onto her heels. She cursed under her breath, frustration bubbling. To her, the night felt like the universe punishing her for a long day of office politics and endless meetings. That's when headlights cut through the storm. An old pickup truck rolled to a slow stop beside her. The driver's window slid down, revealing a man with calm eyes and a voice steady against the rain. "You need a ride?" he asked. His tone wasn't pushy, just kind. Madison froze. Every instinct screamed caution. Accepting rides from strangers was rule number 1 on her never-do list, especially in a city where headlines often told stories of regret. But that night, something in the man's demeanor unsettled her, not in fear, but in contradiction. His clothes were simple, his truck worn, but his eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen storms before and survived them. "I don't usually trust strangers," she admitted, her voice sharp, as if testing him. He only gave a faint smile. "That's fair, but standing here much longer isn't safe. The rain's only getting worse." Lightning flashed, followed by a roll of thunder that rattled her bones. Madison hugged her coat tighter. Against her better judgment, she opened the passenger door and slid inside. The warmth of the truck and the faint scent of leather wrapped around her as the storm roared on. For the first few minutes, silence filled the truck, broken only by the hum of the wipers and the hiss of tires on wet asphalt. Madison stared out the window, raindrops racing each other down the glass. The driver glanced over. "Name's Marcus." She gave a curt nod. "Madison." "Well, Madison, you look like someone who doesn't usually hitch rides." She smirked despite herself. "You'd be right about that." Marcus chuckled, the sound low and warm. "Sometimes storms force us to bend our own rules." Madison studied him out of the corner of her eye. His hands on the wheel were steady, his posture relaxed. He didn't seem like someone who meant harm, yet she held on to her guard, unsure why trust felt heavier than the rain outside. Still, with every mile, the air inside the truck grew less tense, replaced by something unspoken, a fragile truce between two strangers. Before Madison could answer, Marcus pulled the truck into a quiet street lined with small, glowing storefronts. He parked in front of a tiny diner whose neon sign buzzed through the rain. The place looked old, the kind of spot people passed by without noticing, but inside it radiated warmth. Fogged windows, yellow light, the faint clatter of dishes. "I know the owner," Marcus said, turning off the engine. "Best pie in Seattle. You'll warm up." Madison hesitated. She had never walked into places like this. Her world was all sleek restaurants with white tablecloths and overpriced wine. This diner felt foreign. But as the rain beat harder outside, the thought of shelter and something hot to eat was irresistible. Marcus held the door for her, and a rush of warmth and the smell of fresh coffee wrapped around them. "This place saved me more than once," Marcus said with a quiet grin. "Maybe it'll save you tonight too." The waitress poured steaming coffee into thick ceramic mugs, and the rising aroma filled the booth. Madison wrapped her hands around the cup, letting the warmth seep into her chilled fingers. "So, Madison, what do you do when you're not stranded in the rain?" She hesitated. Part of her wanted to keep it vague, but something about his steady gaze made lying feel pointless. "I'm a lawyer," she admitted. "Corporate firm downtown." Marcus nodded slowly, as though that explained more than she realized. "Long hours, lots of pressure." She raised an eyebrow. "How do you know?" Because I see folks in suits walking past our community center every day, always looking like the weight of the world's on their backs. He smiled faintly. And you've got that same look. Madison sipped her coffee, caught off guard. Her world measured success in billable hours and bonuses. His world measured it in lives changed. For the first time all night, she found herself leaning in. Marcus set his mug down, his expression softening. You know, years ago, I was the kid sitting in that center, angry, lost, ready to quit school. People had written me off. Madison leaned forward, listening more closely than she had in months. One volunteer, an older woman, Miss Ruth, he tapped the photo clipped to his dashboard earlier, she refused to give up on me. Every day, she'd sit me down, make me read, push me to believe I could be more than my mistakes. His voice grew quieter. Without her, I don't think I'd be here, driving this truck, trying to help others. I'd be just another statistic. Madison swallowed hard. She had spent years chasing prestige, yet here was a man whose purpose came from gratitude and service. For the first time all night, she wondered who had really been richer all along. Madison stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, her thoughts spinning. She thought of her office, the glass walls, the endless files stacked on her desk, and she thought of the faces she barely remembered from her last case, clients who were numbers more than people. And then she looked at Marcus. He wasn't wealthy, not in the way her world defined wealth, but there was a light in him, a steady fire that came from lifting others. You know, she said slowly, I don't usually let people in. I keep everything controlled. Her voice cracked slightly. But maybe that control has cost me something. Marcus smiled gently, not pushing, just listening. For the first time in a long time, Madison felt seen. Really seen. And in that small diner, with rain still pouring outside, she wondered if a stranger in a storm had just changed her life's direction. The storm had eased into a steady drizzle by the time they stepped back outside. Marcus held the door, and Madison pulled her coat tighter, the neon diner sign buzzing softly behind them. As they drove, the city lights shimmered on the wet pavement. Madison stared out the window, her reflection blurred against the raindrops. You live Pulse? Marcus asked. A few blocks from here, she said. I can walk. No, not tonight. You've walked enough. When they pulled up outside her apartment, Madison hesitated. The street lamps flickered, casting golden halos on the sidewalk. She turned to him, struggling for words. Thank you, she finally said. For the ride? For everything. Marcus gave a small nod. Sometimes strangers cross paths for a reason. Madison smiled faintly. Funny thing is, I don't usually trust strangers. Marcus chuckled, his voice steady. Then maybe tonight wasn't about trust. Maybe it was about faith. Madison shivered, stepped out, the drizzle cool on her skin, her heart unexpectedly lighter than when the night began. Madison climbed the steps to her apartment, pausing at the door. She turned back just in time to see Marcus's old truck disappear into the rain-slicked night, its taillights glowing like fading embers. Inside, her apartment felt different, quiet, but no longer comforting in the way it once did. She sat by the window, replaying the night, the storm, the truck, the diner, Marcus's story. A man with little who gave much. A stranger who reminded her of something she had almost forgotten. Humanity. She whispered to herself, maybe it's time to live for more than just myself. And as the rain tapped gently against the glass, Madison realized the ride had been more than a rescue from the storm.
It had been a turning point, the moment a stranger's kindness cracked open the walls she had built around her heart.